All right, here's a story about the Shpala Zeide. Oh wow, what's this? The Shpala Zeide. It's called the Saba of Shpala, the grandfather of the Shpala, the great rabbi of Shpala. He lived in the time of the Alter Rebbe as well. He was a tremendously holy person. So the story is like this: that the Jews were very poor. This was in Shpala. I guess Shpala must have been like Poland, Ukraine, wherever it was. So the Jews, of course, were very poor, but they made it. They got along, however it was. They they were always making up new laws about what Jews could sell and what Jews could do. So there was one Jew that he didn't have much money, but what he used to do is he would sell little things in the marketplace. He had a little sort of a little table, and he covered the table over with a cloth. And on the table, he would put, buttons, a few buttons, and a few needles, and some thread, and some this and whatever, and he would sell. And people would buy from, little trinkets from him or whatever he had to sell. And the money he would take and he would put in a little sort of a can that was hanging from his table, under this cloth. It was hanging from the bottom of the table. One day, a whole battalion of soldiers, let's say Ukrainian soldiers, where is Shpoli? I don't know. I could look it up, but let's say it's Ukrainian soldiers. And if Shpoli happens to be in Poland, so it was Polish soldiers. Good. So a whole battalion of them comes, about 50, 60 soldiers, whatever is in a battalion or a group, whatever. And they come into the marketplace and they're going around, but huge guys, and they came back from some battle or whatever it was. One of them goes over to this Jew, and he starts looking at the trinkets and everything like that. And he lifts up the cloth that's over the table, and there's this can underneath, and he's sort of jingles the can a little bit, and he says, "All I have is 100 zloty. You have change?" He says, "Yeah, I have change it's in this can. Yeah, it's good." Takes the can, rips it out, pours the can into his pocket, and walks away. Throws the can down and walks away. So the Jew says, "Hey, what'd you do? You took my money, you stole my money. Hey, thief! Thief, stop him, stop him." Of course, nobody's going to stop this soldier, but it's near the end of the month, and all of the money that this Jew had made the whole month, he kept in this little can. Of course, he kept in the can so he would have also money to give change if somebody did come along, wanted to, had a big bill and wanted to buy something. So he runs after the soldier. The place is packed. The marketplace is all packed. And where is the soldier? Did you see the soldier? There was a soldier. He goes in sort of like sort of a center over there with all these booths, and people are buying. They sort of like a center over there where sometimes they have appearances, sometimes they have jugglers. Did you see this? All of a sudden, this big, huge commander appears with this big mustache, and he goes to the Jew and he turns the Jew around and he lifts him up, just spins him around, grabs a hold of his lapels and lifts him up. Says, "Are you looking for one of my soldiers?" And the Jew says, "Yes, I am." And he's just so desperate. He has to have that money. It's like the whole next month, his family will live on this money. He says, "Yes, I am." One, I don't know if it's one of your soldiers, but one of the soldiers that just came back, from the soldiers. Yeah, that's my soldiers. What I mean? Well, he stole my money. One of my soldiers stole your money. How much money was there? Says there was maybe like 20 zlotys. It's my whole. One of my soldiers stole your miserable 20 zlotys. Jew, you're lying. What's your name? He realized, whoa, I really got myself into a big problem. Now he can't run away. The commander is holding on to him like that. What's your name? Calls another one of the soldiers right down. Says what his name is, what's your address, says what his address is. Says, let's see your permission, your card. Everybody had the citizen card, identity card. He shows it to him, it corresponds. He says, "Okay, listen, Jew, I'm letting you go, but I know where you live. Tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the morning, we're making a call to order over here. All the soldiers are going to stand at attention. There's 60 soldiers. They're all going to be standing at attention. And I want you to point out who's the soldier who stole your money. You tell me who stole your money. If it's really that soldier really stole your money, you'll get your money back, and I apologize. But if not, then you're in big trouble because I know where you live. I'll burn your whole house down, and your family will have to live in the streets. And I'll give you a thrashing, 20 lashes for falsely accusing one of my soldiers. So this Jew, okay, get out of here. So the Jew says, what am I going to do? I can't. I don't have any money. I can't not come tomorrow. I have to show up tomorrow. He knows where I live. What I got? So he runs to the Shpala Zeide. The Shpala Zeide is the big tzaddik in that area. So he runs to him. And he tells him the whole story. The Shpala Zeide says, absolutely nothing to worry about. Absolutely nothing. You go there tomorrow morning and be there at 5:00. All the soldiers are going to be standing at attention. The soldier that grinds his teeth, that's the soldier that stole your money. Now go back. Good. So the poor guy goes home and he doesn't know what to do. He takes his few little things in the marketplace and he stands there the rest of the day, sells a couple of things, goes back home. And he tells his wife what happened and tells her, listen, we should maybe pack up all the bags. I don't know what to do. He's just out of his mind. His wife said, listen, you went to the Shpala Zeide, yes. He said it's going to be okay. It'll be okay. Don't worry about it. Early next morning, he goes down. When he thinks about the Shpala Zeide, he's walking down to the center where the soldiers are going to be standing at attention. When he thinks about the Shpala Zeide, he's calm. When he thinks about this big commander, he's just petrified. Finally, he gets to the commander, and there's all the soldiers standing there. He says, Jew, I see how you're a little smarter than I thought. Okay. Who's the one who stole your money? So all the soldiers look like exactly the same. They all have the same mustache or whatever, and they're all big, all of them are like 6'4", and they're huge. And the Jew is just a simple Jew, he's a simple, small. So he said, I'm going to walk. So anyway, he remembers what the Rebbe says. So he walks between the lines, and they all look the same. He doesn't know. Finally comes up to one soldier, and he hears the soldier is like, he sees these like very, like almost imperceptibly sort of shaking with rage, and he's grinding his teeth. He's looking straight ahead. So he says, Your Honor, Your Majesty, Your Commander, this is the one who did it. He said, how could you possibly recognize that man? He said, I'm sure this is the one. He says, this is the one who stole your money. You're sure, huh? He says, yes. Now the commander, he's sure that his soldier is going to say, I didn't steal the money. What are you talking about? So he says to the soldier, tell me, what's your name? He reads on this thing, Stanislaus. Did you steal this Jew's money? The soldier says, I didn't steal the money. This commander is smiling. Jews, everything they have belongs to us. I took what is mine. I didn't take anything of his. I'm protecting him. I'm risking my life. What does he do? Absolutely. He says, what? You mean you did take the money from this Jew? I took it because it's my money. I didn't steal anything. I would never steal. He says, whoa, you have the money? He says, yes, I do. Give me the money. Gives it back to the Jew. He says, you stand here. He says, give him 40 lashes. Takes the soldier's shirt off, starts giving him lashes. He's screaming, the Jew. He turns to the Jew and says, how did you know that? How could you have possibly known that this man stole your money? I mean, he was only there for a second. All the soldiers look the same to you. You have no way of knowing. Tell me, how did you know which ones? Tell me, he starts yelling at the Jew. Tell me, I know where you live. I'll burn your house down. He says, no, it wasn't. Maybe it's sorcery. Maybe you're a sorcerer. He says, no. I went to my holy rabbi. And my holy rabbi, who is this holy? No, the Sabbath Mishpali, the great holy Sabbath Mishpali. Says, the Sabbath Mishpali, everybody knows who this person is, yes, and where he lives. Yes, of course they do. He says, okay, listen. Tomorrow, in 2 hours, you go to the spot. How far away does he live? Not far away. He says, in 2 hours, you tell that Shpala Zeide guy that he has to be here. And if he doesn't come here and show, I want to see who this is. If he doesn't come here, tell him that I'll burn his house down and I'll burn your house down as well. And and I'll tell my soldiers they can do whatever they want to. You embarrassed me in front of all my soldiers. You shamed me. I was sure. Meanwhile, in the background, there's the screams of this other soldier receiving the lashes. Now get out of here. So I said, oh, no, I'm really, I jumped from the frying pan into the fire. He runs to the Shpala Zeide. He says, listen, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I put you into trouble. I just had such a big mouth. I just was so confused. Please forgive me. He said, listen, you had nothing to worry about. Tell me what happened. He said, listen, the point is it went exactly the way you wanted. I found the person. It could be he's still receiving lashes. I don't know. But the commander got mad at me for shaming him. And now he wants you to come and appear. He said, listen, you go back to the commander and you tell the commander that I'm not going to come. He said, but he'll go crazy. He'll go mad. You don't know. He's out of his mind. He says, that's right. He'll go crazy. He'll go mad. And you just tell him like this. You tell him that my rabbi is not going to come, but he says, if you want to know what's happening with yourself, tell this to the commander. If you, commander, want to know what's happening with yourself, look in your pocket. So what does it mean? So you'll see. Go. So he goes back, and the commander is still standing there, just blazing angry, and the soldiers just finished getting lashed, and they're taking away on a stretcher. He says, "Oh, Jew, you came back. No, where's your rabbi? Where's this?" So he said, "My rabbi said he's not going to come." He says, "What? What? He's not going to come?" He starts screaming like a madman. He's not going to come. I'll burn your houses down. I'll kill you. All of this. I'll tell my soldiers. He says, "1 second." But my rabbi said, if you want to know what's happening with yourself, look in your pocket. Look at my pocket. I'll show you my pocket. I'll look at it. Says 1 second. All of a sudden, he thinks to himself, 1 second, puts his hand into his pocket. He takes out a letter. He looks at the letter. He takes out his pistol, puts it to his own head, and pulls the trigger and kills himself. And all of his men go berserk. And the commander's laying on the ground, just what did I say? Flopping around, and blood is all over the place. And his soldiers are now without a commander. They don't. Meanwhile, with all this confusion, there's all this screaming and yelling. The Jew just leaves. He goes back to the Rebbe. He says, "Rebbe, you don't." He says, "He killed himself, right?" He said, "Yeah, he did." "How did you know that?" He said, "You should know that this commander is a very evil person. He's killed a lot of people, and he has a plan. He wanted to kill the king. He happens to be very good friends with the king. And he made up a plan with assassins that he's going to take the king out of the palace to a certain place to talk to him privately, and the assassins are going to kill him. In his pocket this morning were 2 letters. One letter was to the king, telling the king how much he loves him and asking the king to come out with him. And the other letter was to the assassins, tell him that a certain time the king's going to be such a place, come and kill him. I'm going to lure him out." That was what it is, right? When you told him to take out the letter from his pocket, what did he do? No, early in the morning, he sent the letter to the assassins. The first thing he sent the assassin's letter, he sent to the assassins. And the letter to the king, he was going to send a little bit later. But when he put his hand in his pocket, what did he do? He pulled out the letter to the assassins. Early in the morning, 1 second. I wrecked the story. I'm sorry. Sorry. I wrecked the story. Okay, no. The first letter he sent to the king, telling him how much he loved him. The first letter he sent to the king, telling the king how much he loved him. And the second letter he was going to send to the assassins. That's what it was. So he sent the letter to the king. When you told him to reach into his pocket and pull out the letter, what did he do? He pulled out the letter to the king. Means that the first letter that he sent, he thought it was the king's letter that he sent to the king. Means he still had the king's letter in his pocket. The letter that he sent in the morning to the king was the letter he should have sent to the assassins. If he wouldn't have been so angry and upset, as he would have figured out a way to maybe get out of it, maybe to run away, maybe to whatever. But because he was so angry with you and so angry with me, and he was so agitated, he couldn't think straight. He just saw that he had made this terrible mistake. He just realized that the king was going to take revenge on him, and he killed himself. And that's how the Sabbas, I'm sorry, I wrecked the story up a little bit, not totally. That's how the Sabbas, the Shpala Zeide fixed up the situation and got rid of an evil anti-Semite. Have a good day with Mashiach now.